Hey y'all, welcome back to the Level Ducky. We are going to go over filings and possible filings in the Owens v. Hey Rob case. We went over bankruptcy and Gingras trying to opening that yesterday. Today we're going to go over this because Gingras wants to be a part of it all with his bestie. You know, he just feels so bad for her. And so we're going to start with that. The motion to quash, we'll go over Rob's motion to quash first. Gingras has supposedly entered a notice of appearance in this injunction against harassment. And then I want to look at what Gingras is either going to file if he's allowed to be on this case, or what he would have filed. Because if you've ever read any of Gingras's filings thus far in regards to the Owens cases, you know that he writes them like blog posts. He puts like thought bubbles in his writing. He angrily writes them. It's so much of a personal vendetta and wanting revenge on somebody than it is discussing the legalities. So let's pull up Hey Rob's motion to quash this injunction against harassment that Owens is trying to get against him. And Laura wants to appear virtually for the conference that's on February 25th, 2026. I just see that was posted, which she wants to appear them all virtually. So that's where did the thing go that I just had? I thought I had. Let me see if it was somewhere else because I thought it was on here. All right, let's see here now. Is it gonna let me go to that person's channel? Okay. Oh, why my Twitter is being weird. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for this. I know people are going to complain about this in the comments, of course. Okay, here it is. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. Yeah, we would be just sitting here doing our own things, minding our own business, but they just can't stop. We quit talking about them, and then they go and good morning or afternoon, Salty Veruca. Hello, Rochelle. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Bruce. But we would be moving on with our lives. I can see her appearing on Zoom. I don't know. I haven't seen any filings about that. All I know is it's supposed to happen tomorrow, I believe. So we shall see. All right. So here's where this motion starts. Dang it. Let me try to change the view. Mm. It won't let me. What in the? Okay. I'm sorry if you can't read it, but I am going to read it for you. So, motion to quash injunction against harassment. This was filed on the docket at least February 6, 2026. And so, pursuant to ARS 12-1809H, Rule 38 of Arizona Rules of Protective Order Procedure, Art 2, 6 of the Arizona Constitution, and the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, defendant Hey Rob moves this court for an order quashing the injunction against harassment. The injunction issued in this matter on January 20th, 2026. Defendant submits this motion contemporaneously with his request for a hearing. This motion supported by the following memorandum and points and authorities. Introduction. The injunction should be quashed because it represents an attempt by the defendant in a highly publicized criminal case, Laura Owens, the plaintiff here, to retaliate against and suppress the speech of an online commentator who has made statements about her criminal case that she simply does not like. And that is the truth. She doesn't like anybody talking about this case. She found a way to go after Rob. And Gingras also doesn't want Rob covering his DUI case and being at his court hearings. So this is a chance for Gingras and Laura to collab together to get this person out. But what they don't realize is that if it's not Rob, it'll probably be someone else that is in there. And it still doesn't stop him from getting documents from all of this or FOIA requesting things and so forth. Plaintiff Laura Owens is facing 14 felony charges, including perjury, forgery, tampering with evidence, and identity theft for allegedly lying and falsifying records to support false paternity allegations against two men, including former star of the reality television show The Bachelor. And I am sure Clayton is like, oh my God, I am so tired of hearing, oh, it's the Bachelor guy. It's the Bachelor guy. Like, he is so much more than just the Bachelor guy. And that's just become his whole persona in court filings, which sucks. And they put on there C, State v. Arizona, which is Arizona Superior Court, Maricopa County. And they filed that back in November 4th of 2025, a copy of which is attached here as Exhibit A. Given the subject matter and the involvement of a celebrity, a reality star, the criminal case against Owens has gained widespread attention both in Arizona and worldwide. And in footnote 1, they put a citing for a local story from Arizona Central, and then they also put a worldwide thing from People magazine. So, a worldwide citing and a local site to say, "Hey, this case is everywhere." It's not like he's just one person and he's the only person covering this case and doing things. Defendant Hey Rob has been following the Owens case, including by attending public court hearings and obtaining public court documents, and has discussed this case and his opinions about the matter in live streamed conversations with his audience on YouTube. To be sure, he has been critical of Owens' conduct and skeptical of her assertions made in court and outside of her criminal prosecution, as has everybody on the internet, except the Owens family and Gingras. That's it. But his live streams are commentaries about issues of public concern that are fully protected by the Arizona Constitution and the First Amendment, which is in the US Constitution as well. And contrary to Owen's mischaracterizations and outright fabrications of what Rob actually said, nothing in those live streams meets the criteria of ARS 12-1809. Not only was his speech not directed at Owens, it was publicly posted online for the world to see. It did not contain any threatening or harassing statements that would support entry of an injunction that punishes and suppresses his speech. In short, Owens has not met her high burden to show that Rob's speech had lost its constitutional protection and the injunction should be quashed. Oh, she definitely wants to just be a victim for sure, Bruce. But she would like people. She says she wants people to leave her alone and stop reporting on all this, but um he doesn't. Okay. Sometimes these cases are live streamed and sometimes they're not. But Clayton's injunction against harassment was, so I don't know why this one wouldn't. And it's not a domestic case. I don't know. Why did I just do that? All right. After an intimate encounter in 2023 with former Bachelor star Clayton Echard, Owens claimed she was pregnant and filed a paternity action against Echard, who denied paternity. Owens v. Echard citing the case. And then the memorandum decision, footnote 2, it's just what the decision was on Owens v. Echard. At the conclusion of this case, the trial court awarded Echard nearly $150,000 in attorney's fees and costs, finding that Owens filed the claim without basis or merit and provided false testimony. Owens was subsequently charged with 7 felonies related to the Echard case in November of 2025. She was charged in a superseding indictment with 14 felonies, 5 counts of perjury, 3 counts of forgery, 2 counts of identity theft and fraudulent schemes and artifices, and 1 count of tampering with evidence and theft by extortion. So she'd been charged with all these things. 7 originally, then they added 7 more afterwards, based on Clayton and Greg. Hey Rob is a YouTube content creator who posts videos, hosts live streams, conversations, and several different topics, including Owens' unsuccessful paternity lawsuit against Echard and the criminal charges that followed. He is just one of many people who have commented online about this high-profile case. Exactly. Many people have commented about it. Many people who are actually in the podcast trailer that went out today about this story. Um, on January 20th, 2026, Owens filed a petition for an injunction against harassment, naming Rob as a defendant, the petition. A copy of the petition is attached as Exhibit C for ready reference. The petition requests an order prohibiting Rob from possessing firearms and requiring Rob to stay away from Owens' residence, work and business, and school slash other, and to stop targeting her through harassment or surveillance, including monitoring or commenting on her location, travel, or court attendance, encouraging others to impersonate her or determine her whereabouts, and making sexualized or threatening statements about her. If respondent attends court, require him to remain a reasonable distance from her and have no interaction. First, you don't work, apparently. Nothing is operable and running right now. You don't go to school. Nobody's going to your house. Um, we're allowed to comment about your court attendance. The rest of it, questionable. But it's not targeted like most of us content creators we're not targeting harassment. We're talking about a case. And I'm sure Hey Rob will keep his distance from her. Much of a petition consists of Owens complaining about alleged comments by Rob or his viewers that express skepticism about her representations to the court in her criminal case and predict that she will be convicted and go to prison. Yeah, that's what we think. Or that use of vulgar language terms referring to her. For example, Owens asserts that Rob made sexualized and coercive comments by merely mentioning his proximity to her while he was observing public court hearings, and casts as a threat a statement that her day of reckoning is coming, referring to her upcoming trial. But we know that the day of reckoning is in regards to her finally getting consequences for all her crap. Going to prison is going to be her day of reckoning. It doesn't mean anything else. She knows it doesn't mean anything else, but she's twisting it. We saw them do this in the Maricini case with Gingras taking it as a threat, thumbnail pictures that are in reference to Conor McGregor comments he makes, not a threat about fighting or punching somebody. But this is where they like to twist things to try to spin it their way. Maricopa Court live stream. It will take you to the court calendar with a daily list, which ones are live, and get the link. Ooh, I would like that link, Teresa, so that I can't, because sometimes their stuff is hard to deal with, especially because she's in so many different courts. It's hard to know which court part to go to. Oh, he's definitely behind. And he has a personal vendetta against Rob. Gingras does. They're just spinning things and lying. Let's see. Owens asserts that Rob encouraged his viewers to impersonate her and locate her real-time physical whereabouts in a discussion, speculating that her purpose for court-approved trip to California was to participate in a horse show in conjunction with attending to a sick relative, as she told the court in her criminal case. Well, we know she lies about certain things. He didn't say that she was participating in a horse show. He asked if there were any horse shows going on and if anybody was at him and saw them, to let him know. He didn't say he for sure knew she was lying and she was actually going to a horse show. That's He was just said, "I wonder if she will do it because she's been known to go to a horse show when she's supposed to go to court." Much of the petition misrepresents what Hayrob actually said in his declaration attached as Exhibit D. Rob explains that many of the statements attributed to him do not appear in the video recordings or transcripts of the live streams. Owens alleges, for example, that at this particular time of a live stream titled um, Ello versus Maricini, travel granted, and apparently Rob said, "I'll effing bitch slap her through the phone, through the camera, whatever, I can get to her." But nothing of the sort appears anywhere in the transcript of the video. Now we will hear why, because they were representing it was in a certain video, but it was actually in a different video. Um, bitch slap wanting to bitch slap somebody through a phone is not anything. I would like to, I wanna smack a lot of people on my TV and in my phone. Like, are you kidding me? In a segment, Owens cites as evidence that Rob encouraged his viewers to impersonate Owens. Rob discusses Owens' January 13, 2026 motion in her criminal case to allow her to travel to California, which the court granted. Rob reads a written comment from a viewer that says, "Recall up all the horse shows in California this weekend and pretend to be low, LO, and say you want to confirm your attendance at the competition. That way you can find out where she will be." I am saying, do not ever do this. I wouldn't have even, I don't know if I would have pulled this comment up, except for to say, thank you for your donation, but let's not. But Rob didn't do that. Apparently, he says that's a fair way to do it, right? And we all know the names, and you're not causing trouble. You're not influencing anything. You're not talking bad. You're just using your First Amendment rights to find out some information that's public, anyways. Not necessarily great, right? It would be one thing if you were calling as yourself and trying to get information, but you can't go pretend to be somebody else, okay? Let's see what y'all are saying. I just want to kiss my fish. Okay. Corn fed, go kiss your fish. I like to take my fish out on walks. Yes, but Gingras doesn't do that. Gingras could just message people. Like, he could have just messaged me and said, "Hey, can you take that thumbnail down?" But that's not their reason for doing it. It's not because she has a problem with what he's saying. She wants him gone. And Rob probably would have taken those down and apologized and said, "I don't necessarily mean anything. It's just things that I'm saying." Let's see. He could have got in the elevator with Jan at one of the hearings, but he didn't because he knew it wouldn't be wise. Exactly. Yeah. No, it's not harassing to walk by somebody. We walk by somebody in a store every day. That doesn't mean we're harassing them. Be like, "Oh my god, I just got you know, I was within 5 feet of Kelly Clarkson." Doesn't mean I'm stalking and harassing her because I say I was 5 feet from somebody. It doesn't mean that at all. Israel, I did catch I went back as soon as I was done live last night and immediately went and watched Big Tiff's, stream about this probate reopening thing, which Snitchel Ninja has that complete hearing by itself with no commentary on her channel if anybody wants to watch it. I like watching it with commentary because they have the same exact some of the same thoughts that I have. And I thought that Jan was like reading a script in that hearing. And she only wants to bring all of it up now because they need money. She wasn't concerned with it before, but now she is because they are in desperate need. Yeah, I've heard that Ron is supposedly done with Laura and Jan. I don't have anything to fully verify that. So, sadly, Ron is stuck with those 2 as his quote unquote caregivers. Um, I mean, he made his bed and he has to lie in it now. But I don't doubt that Ron was fed a narrative. That's why a lot of us don't fully go after Ron. We more so focus on, like, Laura, Jan, and Gingras because, um, they're the active participants. Ron is just told what the stuff is. Like, he doesn't know. He's just a bank account to them. That's it. To them, he's good for nothing but money and to use to play their woe is me victim card. That's it. Ron was an ATM. And now they get to say, "Oh, my husband and oh, my dad, he has 23 years of Parkinson's and then he's had cancer and the black chair," and it's bullshit. Now, I'm not saying that Ron isn't suffering from certain health things and that Ron hasn't made statements to be a jerk, but he is going off of information that is fed to him, not actual real information that he has seen and knows about. He's just fed a story and he blindly believed it. And she's just oh, yeah. Mm, I can see them. I haven't seen anybody say that she filed to appear virtually, but we'll see. All right. Um, let's see. Hello. All right. So then he then suggests attending a public horse show to see if Owens is there, which people are allowed to go to public horse shows. They're allowed to. Apparently mentioned purchasing professional photos or a video of the event that are on sale to the public to demonstrate her attendance. They would somebody would possibly do that anyways, or they would just take picture and video on their phone. So, there's ways to find out about it without anybody having to purchase anything. I mean, we found out about the other one when she was supposed to be in California. Then it says on January 20th, the day Owens filed the petition, Court Commissioner Lindsay Coates granted it in part, ordering Rob not to contact Owens, not to go to or near her residence, and not to encourage anyone to impersonate her or make contact with the plaintiff. Injunction at 1 through 2. So Gingras is going to go into an argument that we will see later that Rob has violated his order from the court. Well, let's see. He hasn't contacted her. He hasn't gone near her residence or her. He hasn't encouraged anyone to impersonate or him himself impersonate her to try to make contact. He's done none of that. So he has not violated the order that is in the court right now. Talking about her and his lawsuit is not violating a court order. They did not tell him that he can't ever mention this girl's name. The argument is the court should quash the injunction because Owens has not shown and cannot prove that Rob engaged in harassment as defined by the statute, and because the injunction impermissibly restricts Rob's constitutionally protected speech on issues of public concern. In brief, Owens' allegations in this civil matter are no more reliable than the claims of her unsuccessful paternity lawsuit against Mr. Eckerd. Basically, the lies she's telling here are no different than the lies she tells in every other case. And some of it's not lies, okay? Some of what she put in there is not lies. It's just omitting context and twisting things to a certain way that they are not meant to be, and she knows they're not meant to be. In a brief, Owens' allegations of the so no reliable or her various statements that give rise to the state's criminal indictment for her perjury, forgery, and the like. Arizona law allows for injunctions where the defendant has engaged in harassment, which is defined as a series of acts over a period of time that is directed at a specific person, and that would cause a reasonable person to be seriously alarmed, annoyed, or harassed, and the conduct, in fact, seriously alarms, annoys, or harasses the person and serves no legitimate purpose. They don't get to define what Rob's purpose is. Rob's purpose is to talk about his opinions on a case that he feels passionately about. That's it. Rob's commentary on Owens' criminal case does not remotely qualify as harassment under the statute. First, although Rob's YouTube videos are about Owens, they are not directed at her. Even according to Owens' own allegations, Rob never contacted Owens, either directly or through a third party. Rob's declaration affirms that he has never communicated with her. The law requirements that the harassment be directed at the plaintiff means the statements made to others do not qualify, even if the plaintiff becomes aware of them. And he cites LaFaro versus v. Cahill, an Arizona case 2002. In LaFaro, the plaintiff political activist obtained in an injunction against a Tempe city council member who allegedly called the activist a bigot, fascist, homophobe, and a neonatal Nazi. In a conversation with another person, the plaintiff happened to overhear Through the activist, overheard the comment. It was not directed at him and thus did not support an injunction. So too here. The Owens that Owens can, like anybody else with an internet connection, view Hey Rob's video commentaries about her does not mean those commentaries are directed at her, and she cannot be harassed by them as a matter of law. Like, she seeks this stuff out. Yep, that's how she sees it. If you say her name, you violated an order. That is not how any of it works because one, you're not allowed to, even if you were allowed to say, hey, you can't say certain things and you cannot contact her, they cannot put a future prior restraint on somebody's future words. They cannot do that. Even in like criminal cases, an attorney can be gagged in cases, but the parties are allowed to talk about their cases. In Arkansas, that just got overturned by the Supreme Court when they were like, nobody can talk about this case. Well, yeah, people can talk about it, and it's unconstitutional to say that they're not allowed to. I'm hoping that Ron has become aware of it and doesn't, because that's the thing, is anybody that believes their side is just biased and a part of the lying, or they don't actually have all the facts because they've been fed a story. But if you look at everything yourself, you cannot come to the conclusion that she is a credible, honest person. And you can't do that with Gingras, you can't do that with Laura, and you cannot do that with Jan. Let's see here. Yes, and quoting things out of order and putting two different parts of a sentence together to make them look like they are one, and there's a bunch of stuff in between them, is omitting a bunch of stuff. I might I might be giving Ron too much credit. I'm not saying I don't think he's a dick. I think Ron is a dick, but I also think that he has been somewhat hoodwinked in a lot of things. When he has these two vindictive, conniving, manipulative women in his household, because Laura is just like her mother. BK is bankruptcy, corn-fed. All right, let's continue on with this motion. Second, as the case in Lawfaro that Rob allegedly offended Owens by mocking and criticizing her using purported vulgar and sexual charged language does not transform his commentary about her criminal prosecution into harassment. As the Court of Appeals observed, in public debate, our own citizens must tolerate insulting and even outrageous speech in order to provide adequate breathing space to the freedoms protected by the First Amendment. Snyder v. Phelps, which Gingras has thoughts on Snyder v. Phelps. I will link Gingras's blog about Snyder v. Phelps in the description box when I'm done. Insults and invectives such as those Owens accuses Rob of saying are simply not harassment under the definition of the statute. First Amendment speech is not to protect good speech, it's to protect speech that we don't like. Because nobody has a problem with people saying nice things about people. They only have a problem when it's not so nice. To be sure, Rob seeming endorsement of pretending to be Owens in a phone call to determine if she was attending a horse show as well as helping a sick relative was unwise, but it was not threatening. Though his lawyer and Rob are conceding here, this might not have been a great thing that I did. I apologize for it. I wasn't thinking about any of the other stuff and so forth. No one would have any reasonable expectation of privacy in their attendance at an event open to the public. So even an proper attempt to determine their attendance would provide no more information than could be gathered by anyone else at the event. Right. It's a public event. Somebody could go there and see her without Hey Rob saying, hey, go see this event. Owens does not allege that she actually attended a horse show or that any of his viewers actually impersonated her or that she was followed or menaced by anyone. Right. How could she be scared of somebody showing up to a horse show that she is not at? Makes no sense. Third, Rob's speech serves as a legitimate purpose speech about closely watched criminal prosecution in which Owens is charged with 14 felonies. The videos about which Owens complains are commentary about issues of public concern, which occupies the highest rung of the hierarchy of the First Amendment values and is entitled to special protection. And then he cites case because the videos related to matters of political, social, or other concern to the community, which Rob is a part of that community. He lives in Arizona. They serve that legitimate constitutional protected purpose. The statements encouraging investigation into whether Owens was attending horse shows, for example, served another legitimate purpose discussion of whether a criminal defendant has misled the court in obtaining permission to travel out of state, which she has lied about before. I mean, she said on some of those requests for travel that she was traveling for work, but in her bankruptcy hearing, she says she doesn't. None of the businesses are operating or doing anything right now. So, which is it? Which one are you lying in? Probably both, really. Also, in Rob's commentary, does he say harsh things about Gingras and Laura? Yes. You know who he also gives harsh comments to? Judges, Gingras's attorney, people not taking accountability and not moving cases along, not them not having Gingras show up in person or Laura in person when they should have to be there in person for their own case because they're both technically out on bail, bond, or their own recognizance. They're both under needing court's permission to do things. So, not everything he says is against Laura or Gingras. He has been mad at the judges before. And you're allowed to express your opinions about how you feel in things regarding the government. Finally, the injunction is unconstitutionally overbroad because it prohibits protected speech under Arizona Constitution and the First Amendment. It would bar Rob from encouraging his viewers It would bar him from encouraging his viewers to impersonate Owens by portraying her in a satirical skit or a dramatic recreation of her alleged crimes, for example, which is clearly unconstitutional. It would prohibit him from encouraging his viewers to have contact with Owens, even constitutionally protected contact, such as sending her non threatening or supportive letters or emails. Do not send anything whether it is supportive or not supportive to Owens on my behalf. Don't do it. I have never had contact with Owens. I have had limited contact with Gingras in regards to stuff that I have made public on this channel. Other than that, I don't have anything to do with them. It was for a limited purpose only. And it was involving myself, not anything to do with Laura. Let's see. As the Arizona Court of Appeals has said, the test for whether an injunction such as this one that restricts speech is constitutional is whether the challenged provision of the injunction burden no more speech than necessary to serve a significant government interest. Injunction prohibiting politician from any contact with political activists unconstitutional, preventing politician from engaging in person political debates. The injunction fails at that test. For the foregoing reasons, we respectfully request that this court enter an order quashing the injunction against harassment. So that is the motion to quash by Rob and his attorney. And so, yeah, both the bankruptcy filings were definitely eye-opening for sure. Let's see what else we got. Yes. And I do have the documents on that first set of stuff that happened. Maybe I'll do a video about that. Let's see, what else do we got? What are y'all saying here? Wild thing is she was at an event and she lied to a San Francisco job. Yep. Exactly, Teresa. Rob is just trying to see if she's telling the truth now when she wasn't telling the truth then. Yes, we should all learn and grow from any of our mistakes. We all make mistakes. All right. So now I want to get to what Gingras would say. And maybe this will become a document, maybe it won't. I think that if Gingras is going to be allowed to represent her, he will be representing her in the hearing tomorrow. If it's allowed. We will find out very quickly. And if he denies it, Laura will have to represent herself in that hearing. So we'll figure that out based on who ends up doing most of the talking and stuff. And I hope Laura knows that Rob's counsel is probably going to ask her questions. Just like in Clayton's injunction against harassment. Stuff like you're allowed to question things. So it'll be very interesting. I do hope we get to see it. Because anytime she is in court and has to say anything is a shit show. Get a drink while I'm pulling this stuff up. All right. I have congestion. My face is swollen again. It's just a whole thing. Looks like I have a chipmunk cheek over here. It's just when my sinuses are bad. My face likes to swell. Okay. So this is what Gingras would have to say. That last thing we read was 8 pages long. Gingras decided to double it. And most of it he could have just taken out. But that's not what somebody with wanting revenge and stuff does. All right, let me this one. Okay. Also, we are, half at the halfway point basically. Don't forget to like this video, comment, replay crew. You can always speed me up, subscribe so you don't miss videos and live streams when they're happening, and share. Okay. So, Owens versus Hey Rob response to motion to quash. And this is assigned to the Honorable Judge Lindsay Coates. Don't know anything about this judge, but Laura hasn't had great luck with female judges. So, Gingras states, plaintiff Laura Owens, Miss Owens, respectfully submits the following response to defendant Hey Rob. Motion to quash. The issue for the court is simple. Does the First Amendment bestow an unlimited right to attack, threaten, harass, or terrify victims with online speech? As explained below, the answer is clearly absolutely not. Sir, do not steal my absolutely not. Like I love absolutely not. You're going to run it for me. Threats and harassment are not merely immortal acts. They are crimes in the state of Arizona, and they are subject to lawful restraint. Well, there has been no threats or harassment. And people can attack people with their words as long as they're not lying and actually threatening people. Some odd context aside, the court task is easy. The issue raised by this case have already been conclusively resolved by the United States Supreme Court and Arizona appellate courts. As the authorities explained, the right to engage in free speech is never without limits. Never. That is particularly true in cases involving extreme, egregious, and vicious online attacks from an obsessed, mentally unstable individual, as occurred here. Where is your proof that he is mentally unstable? Because you don't have any. Now, when we say that Laura has some mental instability, we actually have verified proof that she is mentally unstable of her own admittings, your own writings, and records that have been out there. You have nothing. You are not a doctor or a psychologist or anything. And what you think is mentally unstable, I don't know how to trust your scale because you think that Owens and you are just stable people, and everybody that doesn't believe Owens are unstable, mentally unstable. This is like you saying everybody's involved in a cult. It's just not true. It's hyperbolic. According to the motion to quash should be denied. Accordingly, the motion to quash should be denied. Miss Owens should be awarded her reasonable attorney's fees and costs pursuant to ARS 12-1809P and Rule 39A of Arizona Rules of Protective Order Procedure. But you're going to represent her pro bono. So why do you need lawyer fees? When you're doing this out of the kindness of your heart to help needy people like Owens, an indigenous person who has fallen on hard times. Because in your bankruptcy filing, you humble bragged about just how angelic you were and that more lawyers should do it and be like you and give pro bono stuff to those people that wouldn't otherwise have it. But now here you want money. So you're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. That is good to know, Widget, that she is a good judge. I agree. In the bankruptcy case, Jan should just go to the storage facility. She knows where it's at. Just go get your shit. But she doesn't want the shit. She doesn't want to have to go through all that stuff. She doesn't want to do any of the actual work. She just wants money. She just wants cash. She don't want anything else. That's it. All right. Continuing on. Introduction. The facts of this case are disturbing and present a textbook example of why Arizona has strong anti-harassment and anti-stalking laws. I love how Gingras is always like, well, Arizona is strict when it comes to this stuff. Like Arizona is the strictest of the strict out of all the states. Like they have the strongest laws ever. But you're like, I'm kind of done with Arizona and the way their rules are. I don't like playing by their rules. Laura is 35-year-old resident of Scottsdale. She currently lives at home with her parents where, among other things, she provides care for her elderly father, Ron Owens. Here we are, using Ron to be a victim, and woe is me. Ron Owens for 40 years. Miss Owens was national Mr. Owens was recognized, talk show host area. Laura also rides horses and has published music and songs. Great. What does this have to do with her injunction against harassment? We don't need an introduction of Laura growing up and her birth story and her childhood. And we don't need a profile of what Laura is. If you're going to do an introduction, introduce facts about the case, not all this irrelevant bullshit. And she writes songs about love for dogs. Great. Dogs, dogs, dogs. Defendant, hey Rob, is a complete stranger to Miss Owens. The two do not know each other and have never interacted in any capacity. So how is he harassing her directly or indirectly? How is she in fear of her life when she's never had any interaction with this person? The only knowledge Laura has regarding Rob is what appears in online searches and, of course, the acts of harassment by Rob, which gives rise to this case. Why is she searching what people are saying about her? She needs to stay off the damn internet because none of it's good. Nobody has one nice thing to say about her except for the people that are behind her justice page, which are probably you and her and and her mother. Rob objects several social media pages, operates several social media pages, including an Instagram account and a YouTube account. Okay. I have a small Instagram account too. I hardly post on it. I need to become better about cross posting things on different social media places, but I'm not, which is what he's trying to do. My personal social media and my YouTube social media are two different things. Much of the content posted by Rob is nonsensical. Well, that is your opinion, which you're giving a lot of opinions here, but Rob can't give his opinions. For example, his Instagram account contains a video dated August 25th, 2024, which appears to show him driving through an Arizona neighborhood, albeit with a camera turned upside down. Okay, what does that have to do with this? This video and much of Rob's other posts contain no likes and no comments. Who gives a shit? Everybody has to start somewhere. When people start their channels and pages, it starts at 0 and then it can grow from there. Many of Rob's YouTube videos are similar in that they reflect little to no audience attention. Many videos have 10 views or less, some as few as a single view, while not meant to disparage Hey Rob's popularity or lack thereof. It is clear he is not a journalist speaking to a broad audience, comparable to, say, New York Times. A lot of people didn't really know who Hey Rob was 7 months ago when you pulled these videos. So, no, his views on this may not be very high, but he didn't start gaining attention until in the past several months. And journalists have to start somewhere. And he could be a journalist. Maybe he doesn't have a huge platform right now, but that doesn't mean that later he won't. Yeah, Rob is there. His posts are so insignificant that they're causing me so much harm. I- It's it's just a bashing session is what it is. This stuff has nothing to do with the injunction against harassment. Just because nobody is listening when you're talking, possibly, doesn't mean that you're not allowed to speak your opinions. New York Times doesn't have a greater First Amendment right than any small person out there. They don't. My toddler or my grandson toddler, he has opinions. And in his world, his opinions are valid. Now, are his opinions on a greater scale, you know, grandson's opinions compared to his mother's opinions or his dad's or his ducky, which is me, his opinions don't matter as much. He has the right to have them and throw a fit or whatever about him, but like we can't stop him from having those feelings and saying those things. He can just be overruled, but he's still allowed to say it. Mm, Yes, Dingus could have had a better channel if he just posted um videos of Aurora. And even if he didn't, he could have still grown because there are plenty of lawyers out there online that spew nothing but BS and they're successful because somebody's going to listen to them. I mean, look at Janet Braun. If you've heard anything about that internet TikTok lawyer, people have listened to her and she had like famous TikTok influencers that used her. All right. So he says, in addition to his limited social media fame, he appears and previously worked as an actor in some low budget films. Who gives a shit? Actors also have to start somewhere, whether it's in plays, whether it's a walk on role, whether it's an extra in the background. Who cares? Many people start at small spots and get bigger if they want to. Something I didn't know is that apparently Rob has a master's degree. Did not know that. Props to him. Owens and Hey Rob crossed paths at some point after late 2023 when Owens filed a pro se paternity action against a man named Clayton Eckerd. In that case, Owens alleged she became pregnant after a brief one night encounter with Mr. Eckerd. This allegation and the case writ large eventually gained massive attention on social media for two reasons. First, because Eckerd was former star of the popular reality dating show The Bachelor. No, she made it about that first. This could have just been an everyday thing between two people. She wanted it to go to the media. That's why she went to The Sun, much like Amber Heard. The second reason the case drew so much attention is because Eckerd accused Miss Owens of fabricating her pregnancy. After a 2-hour evidentiary hearing, the trial judge largely agreed with Mr. Eckerd and ordered Miss Owens to pay nearly $150,000 in sanctions. The court also referred Owens to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, which later indicted her on several felony accounts arising from the case, including perjury and forgery. Yeah, you forgot the other stuff. As of the date to this response, the criminal case remains pending. Ms. Owens has pled not guilty, and she has not been convicted of any crime at this time. The sensational nature of these allegations, as well as Ms. Owens' status as the daughter of a former talk show radio legend, has caused the case to receive significant online attention. The story has generated headlines in major traditional media outlets. See the San Francisco Chronicle. Although the unusual background of a paternity case between Owens and Eckerd gives some context as to why we are here. The case virtually nothing to do with the harassment injunction sought by Miss Owens. In her petition, Owens explained that at some point it appears Hey Rob became interested in the Owens v. Eckerd story, as many others. Exactly. That much is not surprising and is certainly not unlawful by itself. Well, I'm glad you agree with that. Yeah, he does leave out that's a thing in the bankruptcy case too. And things that I wanted the bankruptcy attorney to do is know that Gingras told her that he hopes his client never pays. And I wanted her to ask about her I most definitely don't have any other bank accounts statement and look at Cash App and Zelle and Venmo and PayPal and Chime, Square, if she has any of that stuff. I want her to look at all that. All right. What is unusual and unlawful about Rob is the degree, type, and number of obsessive, bizarre, and frightening posts he has made, which raise serious concerns regarding his mental illness or mental health. You don't get to speak on that. If you wanted to have an expert opinion on this, okay. You don't get to say anything about his mental health because you don't know anything about it. You are stating an opinion, which you don't like when Rob apparently says things that you say he says them as fact, but they're actually opinions. What are you doing right here? Specifically, as Miss Owens explained in her petition, Mr. Rob has more than 1,300 posts about her. Hello, Mr. Rosalind. It's hot outside today. I don't like it. And I will tell you something else. I don't know if Rosalind probably knows who they are, but when I was growing up, I thought, like, the news people and, like, people on the radio, um, were considered, like, celebrities. I didn't think about, "Oh, they're local celebrities." But I used to think about, like, oh, like, Kid Craddock in the morning and Big Al and Kelly Raspberry and Kid Craddock and all of them, like, everybody knew who they were. They are probably Hall of Famers, radio people in the DFW area. And so that's the celebrity that Ron Owens has. He's like, if you're a Texas person, you know that, like, Kid Craddock and Ron are probably on the same, like, celebrity ranking. Maybe Craddock even more because they did have nationwide stuff, and they were a part of another thing that they recently did, and then now with podcasts and stuff that can be on iHeart and everything like that, they are and Kid Craddock has passed away, and so his legend and his kids' stuff, it does grow on, but that's the kinda celebrity that Ron is. So, I think of that as it's a local celebrity, not a worldwide celebrity, but, um, eh, Roslyn and any other my DFW people will know who Kid Craddock is. People in other states, you may or may not know about him, but he was good people. Okay, back to this. Um, Texas Packet, I'm glad you got off pause. Having having brain farts. Alright. He says that many of the 1,300 videos posted about her are nonsensical or contain disturbing images and or threatening sexual comments. For example, Rob's Instagram page currently contains dozens of posts which show Owens crying in distress with her name featured in bright yellow subscript. Those are part of a thumbnail picture. Okay. This was her in a public court hearing. This is how she gets anytime anybody questions her. And yeah, the playlist, we went over it in the last thing that I did on Hey Rob. A lot of those videos are not Rob's videos. It's just a playlist of basically the Owens saga. My playlist, what does my playlist have on it? I wonder if I can see if it tells me how many videos. My Owens, I have 132 just in the Owens stuff. Those are all my own. And I had 13 on her criminal case, 34 for Maricini, 9 for Gillespie, and some of those overlap. Who gives a shit? I don't care how many Dave has either. All right. Rob has posted more than 150 additional times since he was enjoined from further accounts or further acts of harassment. Making a post about Owens does not necessarily mean that Rob's personally created the content in the post. In other words, posting can include publishing both original videos, images that he's created, as well as reposting content created by third parties. In her petition, Owens claimed that Rob created, curated, and continues to maintain a playlist of 1,320 videos focused exclusively on her. Yeah, well, he didn't create those. It's just a playlist for anybody that is sub to his channel that he can say, "Hey, if you don't know about this case, I have a whole playlist about this case that you can go watch videos from." Paragraph 7 of his declaration submitted in this matter, Rob disputes this, but not directly. He claims to have posted fewer than 400 original videos. Yep. Without ever addressing the amount of times he has reposted third-party content about Miss Owens, which appears to be much, much higher. Who cares? He's not reposting content. He's just added it to a playlist. That's it. Tell me you do not know how playlist on YouTube works. I could have been running behind. I try not to run too behind. And then he says, of course, harassment merely requires a showing the defendant engaged in 2 or more harassing acts. Thus, whether Rob has personally created fewer than 400 videos about Miss Owens or whether he had created and republished thousands of videos is simply not relevant here. It is relevant because you cannot say that videos that are on a playlist of Rob's that are not Rob's, you cannot attribute those to Rob. You have to attribute them to the people that are speaking in those videos. So I get that it can be 2 or more hearings. Then he says he has also posted filthy, disgusting sexual comments about Owens on YouTube, such as an example shown below. In the still image taken from a live stream video, Rob displays himself alongside of a variety of horse whisk extensions with Miss Owens' profile. Sample product names include Sucky Fucky, Cup in the Ball Sack, and you just can't swallow anymore. And this was a Mike Maricini raise-a-thon. He was raising money for Mike. You could put these orders in your donation or something. These extensions are actual extensions, and he just put them onto Laura's ponytail holder. I don't know if his chat named these or what, but they are all jokes and satire, and she knows it. But his footnote says, all First Amendment lawyers understand that at least when they involve celebrities or general purpose public figures, the First Amendment usually protects jokes, parody, even if rude and disgusting. So why are you bringing this up? Yeah, that sense of humor might not be ours, but some people have a crude sense of humor. But it's not against the law to tell dirty jokes. I mean, there's some comedians that I think are a little too vulgar for me on a lot of stuff. But sometimes sometimes a vulgar joke is funny too. Just depends on your mood. But you can obviously tell that it is a joke. And then he cites to Hustler v. something, finding First Amendment protective offensive parody involving a famous public figure. Owens is neither a celebrity nor is she a general purpose public figure. It might be. I hope not. Let me try again. when I unplugged the thing, um, it muted it. Hopefully the sound is back. Okay. I unmuted the mic. If you're caught up to real time. Yeah, she's a limited purpose public figure. God dang. This is horrible. Let me see something. I'm going to change my mic settings. Oh, Lord. I tried to unplug and plug it back in. I tried that. This is annoying. I hate this. I don't know why it did that. I think it's tangled. Where's that? My phone's over here. Um, I have certain things open. Let me try to close that out. Okay, I closed out everything I didn't need. All right, let me try one more thing. Okay. How is this? What? I'm gonna blame Greg. I also need Brad. I also need a setup that I can just leave setup and not have to unplug and move things all the time. That's what I need. Oh, Jingy, you're so cringy. Okay. So that didn't fix the problem. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this stream for now, and I will have to pick this up again later in a part 2 to get through the rest of this because I really do want to get through it. and everything crapped out. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry that it was crackling and it got ruined by tech, but I will try one more thing, and I will try leaving the studio and coming back in. No, maybe that. Uh, let's see here. Is it still crackly with this without the video? It's gotta be something with the mic. Uh, all right. Well, we're just gonna end it here, and I will deal with part 2 after I figure out what my problem is. I'm so sorry, guys. Reboot. I don't think rebooting is the issue. I think it's the mic. All right. Bye.